Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Midlife Motivation. My name is Andrea. Thank you so much for coming back to join me. Today, I'm really excited to talk about this topic because recently I've had some people ask me, how do we put ourselves first without compromising ourselves, our souls, our well being? Well, I will tell you that the journey that we take in life, whether you're dating, whether you're going through your career path, parenting, there's always going to be roller coasters. You're going to falter. And if you cannot take away from that something that will teach you how to navigate things in the future, you're not doing it right. So it's okay to not be okay. It is okay to drop the ball, especially on yourself. I think one of the most important things when it comes to dating and our life in general is to give ourselves grace. By giving ourselves grace, we enable us to drop the ball on the decisions that we make or the choices we make and be able to pick ourselves back up. If you harp on those things, you're not going to be able to move forward. You're not going to be able to have a takeaway that will help you make better decisions in the future for yourself. And it's not for anyone else. So I wanted to touch on that because I think it's really important. I have a friend of mine who's recently split from her partner of I don't know how many years, but it's been a really long time. And she's in her mid 30s, but going into this, when and she's a parent, going into the dating world it's different. It is completely different from when we were in our 20s or teens or high school. It is not the same thing. So whether you're in your 30s or 40s and you're new into this, I want to share some valuable experiences I've had and hope that it helps you. Because one of the most trepidating aspects of dating is how to communicate, what to say, what not to say. And honestly, overthinking it can definitely paralyze you or just make you so self-conscious. And the one thing I want to help other women is to help you feel empowered and to change that narrative in your mind. The most important, I feel, in navigating the dating world, regardless, you've had experiences in life that have led you to understand what you like, what you don't like, what suits you, what doesn't suit you. Maybe you're still trying to figure that out. However, the one thing that definitely will help you navigate this is to stop asking yourself, is he gonna like me? Love yourself. Literally, I do end every video with love yourself first. And there's a reason for that. Because when you approach any situation or any circumstance with the mindset of, is this gonna be a good fit for me? Am I going to like this person? Then your demeanor and your choices that you make in interacting with that person or deciding whether or not you're gonna allow them in your life is going to change. And then that's where the empowerment comes from. But it takes time. So if there are major life changes going on and you're trying to navigate this new environment emotionally, physically, psychologically, logistically, allow yourself to absorb and digest these things before you just make decisions. It's not an easy thing to navigate when there's a lot of changes going on in your life. Even when things are stagnant, sometimes you really need to sit and think of it. But change that narrative in your mind, and you will find that it makes such a huge difference in how you navigate that conversation, especially for yourself. You have to not care what that other person's gonna think. And I don't mean to be callous. You want to have this demeanor in your head where I don't give a flying fig Newton what you're going to think, but you're not going to come across that way because when we interact with other people, you're not going to get a very good response when you stand your ground and you're obnoxious about it. No, I'm not saying that. It is how you deliver your words as well. You can be, really level-headed and kind about it, but firm. There is a balance, and it takes practice. It definitely takes practice. I've had difficult conversations with people in the past, I've shared on my videos before. And actually, one recent conversation I've had with someone was, I really appreciate our time together, which is true. I say all true statements. I don't try to add fluff. However, there are things that you share with me that I am not comfortable with or I don't appreciate. This doesn't make you a good person. And the subject matter was like he was talking negatively about his ex. And while it's okay to share your experiences, it's another thing to badmouth. And by badmouth, I mean calling her names or saying negative things constantly. There is a balance, and we are old enough to know how to navigate that and share our truth without putting someone down. That is possible. So, and for me, so I'm dating this person, and for me, it is not I am not capable of emotionally connecting with someone when they're, saying negative things about another person. Why? Because that could be me one day, and it is a reflection on how someone talks about other people is a reflection of their character. So question that. That was my boundary. And I had to speak my truth. And regardless of what he said, if he didn't respond well, I had to be prepared to, stick to my values, empower myself to be able to speak up and tell him, like, this doesn't sit well with me, and not allow his reaction to sway, my thoughts and my feelings. That's hard to do, especially on the spot. But with practice and just changing your mentality to, am I going to like him, is really going to change your approach on dating or, circumstances in life when you talk to people that don't respect you. Or maybe not even it's about not respecting you. Maybe it's just, not aligning on values, if that is important. And for most relationships, friendship, romance, even professional, if someone's crossing your boundaries, you have to be able to speak up for yourself. So that's definitely something I wanted to share and emphasize, because I had this conversation with a friend of mine recently, and she didn't really realize that at the time. And truly loving yourself is, we got to stop criticizing the things that we don't like, all these little details. I'm guilty of it. So that's why I am telling you, because from experience and everything I'm sharing with you, I've been guilty of doing. But because of the life experiences I've had to make a shift in the way that I approach things, because if you do not, nothing's going to change. So if you want things to change in your life and improve the things that aren't working, something has to shift. So I hope by sharing this, it'll empower you to be able to do the same for yourself. So the idea of loving yourself first is to truly invest in what makes you happy, what fills your happy cup. How do you apply self-care? And it should be a daily ritual, not just when you have time. You have to make time. As human beings, I think I've said this before, we make time for what we prioritize. And especially when you have kids, it is even more imperative to make time for yourself. I don't care if it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, spread throughout the day. If you need 2 minutes to sip your coffee and just breathe and just think about how you're going to approach and tackle your day in the way that will serve you, do that. I journal lately. One of my previous videos, I talked on grief because sadly, my daughter's father passed away very recently. Self-care has been an extremely important value set in my life lately, and in my daughter's life as well. It's absolutely necessary to apply that on a daily basis, because once you let that slip, you're going to notice that your daily life is just starting to feel more of a burden instead of enjoying it. And I mean, in recent light of, there's been a couple of deaths recently in our lives, and you truly do not know how long you have on this earth. So if you're spending every day stressed out, then rearrange what you do just a little bit, just a little tweak to give yourself an opportunity to feel self-love. And moving the body is important. It's so important. Getting outside, I don't care what the weather is like, do things that'll getting your heart rate up and doing something that makes you feel so good. And eventually you can create a routine where, some mornings I only have 9 minutes for a workout. There's a lot you can do in 9 minutes to get yourself moving. And believe me, when I tell you, my endorphins kick in, I feel accomplished. It's not about the amount of time, it's about the amount of effort you put in the given time that you have. So apply that in your daily life and make it a routine, so that when you are, navigating your life and you're trying to date, when you make an effort to make self-care part of your daily routine, now you're going to have to find time to see if you can fit someone else in your life. Because if they're going to take away from that, then don't do it. Don't. I mean, I make sure that when I make time for people, that it's not going to interrupt the things that are important to me. And you do that for yourself, believe me, you're going to start to feel empowered, and it's going to change the way that it's going to change the energy that you give off. Dating can be a very complex dynamic, because there's that push and pull, like that tug of war. And it is actually, a friend of mine described it as a game of tennis. And again, my friend who just recently started, going into the dating pool, she's trying to figure out how to navigate this. Communication is spotty with the person that she's talking to. And it's hard not to sit by your phone and like wait for them to text you. And I said, okay, I know that's agonizing, especially when you're very interested in him, but you have to shift your energy to you. When you shift your energy to yourself, it enables you to feel empowered and not worry as much about, okay, are they going to like me? So you fill your calendar with things that are doing something for your soul, for your mind, for your body, and what you care about is also going to shift. I hope that makes sense because honestly, the whole dating dynamic it gets complicated. You know, you play a game of tennis. That's probably like one of the most challenging things is some people's communication patterns. You get to know how they communicate, and sometimes it doesn't align with the way you do. But you got to realize there's got to be space. It can be a bit agonizing. Sometimes it's anxiety ridden because you're anticipating somebody to text you back to let you know if they're available and they're not responding. And if you shift that energy to, you know what, I still have my day plan, I have my weekend plan. If that person does not get back to me in time before I fill up my calendar, that's their loss. You know, and that's the part of loving yourself first that I'm trying to emphasize and making others aware of just how shifting that narrative in your mind is going to make a difference in how you feel. If that person that you're wanting to spend time with doesn't communicate in a timely manner and just last minute says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm free," don't give them the time of day. You're just conditioning that person to treat you like a last minute plan. That's not you. You don't want to feel that way. You want to be treated the way that you deserve, which is someone prioritizing you, giving you the time, giving you their time and energy, and enabling you to feel important because you are important. If you make yourself feel important, the people you surround yourself with are going to be the ones that make you feel just as important. Believe me, friendship, romantic relationships, those are the kind of people that you want in your corner, especially when we're in our 40s, maybe in your mid 30s or early 50s, and you're trying to navigate a dating scene. Don't compromise yourself by making yourself so readily available. And this is coming from someone who is extremely guilty, who was extremely guilty of that. I learned, and I'm hoping that sharing that will empower you to make yourself feel highly valued. So that is all I have for today. I hope that was helpful. If you have questions, comments, please share them with me. I want to be able to help others. And as I always say, love yourself first. Have a good day.